Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens. You whoop whoop. What's up, everybody? What's everybody doing today? Whoa, we got a lot going on in our ears right now.
We got two music.
Wonder where that's from. Huh, that's weird. Well,
background music.
Well, you know, sometimes we like to play competing music and see which one wins. It's called music races here on Hometown Heartbeat. What's going on, everybody? Zach Walker here with Thad Prater. He had such a good time that I got him to come back. And why not? Because he's a national treasure. Matt Prater, if you're watching, we were just talking about you, and I was sitting here listening to a song that I won't say out loud that you played for me and Keith a long time ago in a building, and I'm just wondering why we don't have that yet, because it's the best song. I love it. It's great. And for those of you that are wondering, just continue to wonder. One day Matt will drop it. In the meantime, he did put out a new song he just put out a new single the other night. Go check it out. I'll come up with the name of it here in a minute. Something about a highway. It's
Highway Blues. It's Highway. I can't remember now.
It's a good one, though. You should check it out. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Matt got all the singing genes in that family. Thad can't carry a tune in a bucket. I'm kidding. So today, as I walked in like 5 minutes ago, Brandon Hargrove joining us. What's up, buddy? Missed you this week. Maybe next week you'll come back and join us again. Brandon's been hosting with me once a week or so. It looks like we've got that reeled in to, give us a co-host once a week until this thing's over anyways. And he just told me he wanted to go to radio with us. So when we take this thing to radio, you're looking at my co-host here. So he kind of got volunteered for that, but it should work out. So he came in as usual with his 17 pages of notes and ready to talk.
No.
And so we're going to talk about. He brought up a couple things. NFL draft, something we need to address for all the and all the sports hungry people out there. Let's be honest, it's been brutal. And like I told you last week, I found myself watching marbles race down a track and somebody commentating them. So we can talk NFL draft. We'll talk some COVID-19. We'll talk Lysol injections. Might as well just inject some of that stuff. And just kind of have a good Friday afternoon edition of Hometown Heartbeat. It is my wife's birthday. Happy birthday to Ashley Walker, my beautiful wife. I love you very much. So where do you want to start, Coach?
Let's talk about the NFL draft. I watched some of that. I watched the first round to basically top 32, whatever. And, I think SEC came out on top.
Oh, I saw something yesterday. Nick Saban has now officially had all 11 positions on both sides of the ball drafted in the first round. Since he's been a coach at Alabama, he has officially had 22, which in case you don't know a ton about football, there's 11 guys on both sides of the ball. He has now had all 22 starting positions drafted in the first round. That is an absurd statistic. By the way, forgot to say hello to Connor. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
Hello, doing good. Better late than never.
Hey, there he is. That's what I'm talking about.
Love the sarcasm.
No, he is. He's the king of it. So, no, it was interesting. They did the virtual draft. They had Roger Goodell. I mean, I guess one thing was he didn't have to hear the boos that he normally hears.
Well, I think they put it.
They did a screen.
They put them in,
yeah. They piped those in. It's like Augusta National, except for with the boos. My team, the Cowboys, we got CeeDee Lamb, which, golly, he's a monster. Oklahoma wide receiver. I mean, you've got him and Amari Cooper now.
They trade several picks to get to that one or something.
Yeah, they did something. Who knows? Jerry Jones very rarely makes a good call. And so we'll see how this one goes. But hopefully, it's a big dude.
Yeah, I think the surprise pick was the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, how about that? My man threw like 17 picks last year. Completely regressed from 2017. 2018, he threw like 30 touchdowns to like 7 interceptions, something like that. And then in 2019, he threw like 18 and 17. It's like, well, hey, let's pay him $7-8 million. See what happens when we've got the best quarterback in the league, arguably, on the other side. Hey, here's one thing I'd like to talk about. Gronkowski.
Oh, yeah, coming back.
And Brady.
Back
so what does that do for the NFC? I mean, do my Cowboys stand a chance now? Because it looks like, I mean, Tom Brady, let's be honest, like he could Joe Theismann any minute. He's like 50. So, I mean, it could happen. He gets hit pretty hard. And he might be – what is their offensive line like? I know their defense is pretty good. But what is their – I mean, is he going to be running for his freaking life?
Oh,
Why would you leave New England?
He won't be running.
Why? No, he'll waddle for his life. Why would you leave New England? I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, I mean, God, I don't know.
Hey, I'd like to put a shout out for one of our very own Quez Watkins.
Yeah,
is going to be in. He probably I was reading probably fourth or fifth round, maybe something like that.
I saw an article where it was like if Phillip Rivers, if they can draft Quez wherever where Phillip signed with, then you could have Athens thrown to Athens. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
No, I saw him play. That was like my first year here, and so I mean he was just a man amongst boys out there. I mean he just looked. I don't know if anybody of you ever saw the quarterback at Tanner. I just forgot his name just off the top of my head. Townsend, Shadarius.
Yeah.
If anybody saw him play, which I coached some of the kids that played baseball at Tanner that year, and so I got to watch one he just looked different. Like if you go to an SEC football game, NFL football game, those boys look like they belong on that field. You go to a high school game, you see 2 or 3 guys that look like they could fit in. Quez Watkins, without question, looked like he belonged on a big time sideline. He's a big boy.
Yeah, I think he surprised a lot of people with his 4.3, 40, something like that.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's all right. No, yeah, for sure. Let's see. Oh, Brandon Hargrove. Yeah. No, never had a kicker been drafted in any round. That's a good point. I feel the need to call that out on the graphic I saw on Facebook. You know, it's one thing when you talk about things on Facebook. They're very rarely true. And for those of you that get your COVID-19 news from Facebook, just think about what I just said. Mm-hmm. And while we're on that topic, the infamous Lysol injection.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
But I mean,
made me so mad. People started putting all this stuff on Facebook and all this stuff. Can't believe he said to inject yourself. And I'm just like, they were talking about innovative ideas, possible ideas, what can we do? Light kills it, sanitation, just
everyone has said political correctness will kill comedy, right? And it has. You go talk to, except for Dave Chappelle, he just keeps on rolling. Good Lord, he doesn't care about political correctness at all. But it has killed comedy in a lot of ways because comedy is like there are shows that used to be. Blackish was one that was on for a long time. It was a funny show. It had some race tones to it, but it made fun of your popular misconceptions or stereotypes or whatever. And it was funny because the funniest things in life are the things that are closest to the truth. That's why the Babylon Bee kills so many people. Like every time I read the Babylon Bee, like worship pastor discovers that you're more holy with holes in your jeans, like stuff like that. Like it's funny because it's borderline true. Trump. Do I wish he would have said it differently?
Yes.
For the love of God, Trump. Like, good gracious. Stay off of Twitter and let somebody write your speeches and actually read them. But did he say take an injection of Lysol and put it straight in the vein? Absolutely not. I'm trying to pull up the quote right now. Let's see. The disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost like a cleaning where it gets in the lungs? Like, okay. Yeah, it was a stupid thing to say. Like, come on, man. Like, what?
That was dumb to say, but he
guy's an idiot.
Did not imply to.
He didn't say stick yourself with a needle of Lysol.
And then Lysol comes out and says, do not inject yourself.
Really? But then again, we live in the age of the Tide Pod Challenge, where kids were eating Tide Pods, and like that's going to go over
and
well.
We also live in the day of where directions have to say, take the cardboard off the pizza before you put it in the oven.
Okay, true story. I have a confession to make. I may or may not have put a pizza in the oven once with the cardboard on it, and I set it on fire. And it was the last time that I ever did it, but I didn't, maybe I'm a millennial. What can I say?
Come on.
But no, Brandon just asked, was Quez Watkins the second fastest in the NFL draft?
I think he was. I think it was second.
So let's see. NFL draft 40 times. Let's find out. And while we find out, there's that awkward silence where you would normally. Here, let me put a. Everybody, this is Zach Walker, the bearded realtor with Revolve Real. I'm kidding. Yes, Quez Watkins, number 2 with a 4.35, second only to Alabama's own Henry Ruggs III. Rotad. So yeah, the NFL draft, it was neat. They went all digital, like it was all, and you got to see inside the homes. I did see one really cool thing about the dude in the bathrobe. Did you hear about that? It was an Alabama player.
It was who was it? It was a wide receiver.
Yeah, was it? Let's see.
I can't remember what it was.
Well, did you read the story though?
I didn't read the story.
So it was actually really cool. He's from Montgomery. And I'm trying to find here we go. Henry Ruggs wears bathrobes for charity. And so he was getting ragged on like nonstop all night about this bathrobe. And no one took a moment. Again, we live in the Facebook truth generation, right? Whatever somebody says on Facebook is obviously true. And we would never dare to actually go and make that, search that out, because why would we?
Yeah, don't try to get the facts.
No, and so basically this guy he grew up in Montgomery, and it was a really rough growing up, and he had a friend, Rod Scott, who his senior year in high school was driving north to see them in the playoff and the Final Four, and died in an accident. And so Old Spice paid him a bunch of money to go to the charity of impoverished, basically looking after at-risk kids. They paid him like $300,000 to wear that bathrobe. Yeah, there was a reason that he did it. It wasn't just he was just being a tool bag. Like, that's not what happened. And so it was $320,000 donation to the United Way behalf of rookies from all 32 NFL teams to kickstart their community efforts. So he was paid to do that. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't just he thought it was a cool, it was just a what am I trying to say? Like a Cam Newton wearing a dress kind of a thing. That guy, by the way. If my quarterback cross dresses, I'm trading him too. That's all I'm saying. But no, that was pretty neat. And so it brings me to sports in general. And as a coach, we were just talking about this in the lead up to the show. We had Connor here talking with us about next semester, what's it going to look like, the new normal everyone's talking about, which I'm about tired of hearing, by the way. I just want the old normal. I get it. It's not going to happen. But are we going to have sports?
AHSAA came out yesterday with just basically a form letter talking about different changes of rules, but nowhere did they discuss what would happen in the summer or the fall. I think they're waiting for Kay Ivey to come out next week, and then maybe on May the 12th or something like that, they're going to sit down and have another meeting and maybe decide some things.
I saw an article yesterday that scared the ever-loving bejesus out of me, and it was that Disney is talking about not opening their parks back up till 2021. That's
unbelievable.
They said that, and I'm not quoting here, so those of you that hold me accountable to my facts, this is I'm just spitballing here. I think this is what it said. I'm just semi-quoting. Basically, running a watered down operation, a less than full capacity operation, is a non-profitable operation for them. They have to run at a capacity of X. That capacity would put them beyond the social distancing boundaries and borders, and so they're just going to say, we'll just kill it for a whole year. I'd like to see what the mortgage payment is on that place, wouldn't you?
That's hard to believe.
Wouldn't you like to see the mortgage payment on that place? I wonder what the Magic Kingdom goes for a month.
I don't know what they get, what they make in a month, make in a day.
Oh, I'm sure we can find that out. I mean, they're a publicly traded company, right? So isn't Disney World? Let's see, Disney.
Yeah, it's going about $100
World revenues.
A share, I think.
Let's see, operating income. 14.86 billion in 2019, and that's a shortened 2019, by the way. That's the Walt Disney Company. That's not the parks. Let's see. Let's go back here by revenue segment. That'll be a fun one to talk about. Let's see here. By segment, parks, experiences, and products is 26%. No, I'm sorry. That's in billion. Holy Maria. The direct-to-consumer and international was $9.35 billion. Wow. Studio entertainment, so movies, was $11.1 billion. Parks, experiences, and products was $26.2 billion. Oh. And media networks was $24.8 billion. So we're running at about 70, let's see, that's 72 billion. But we'll just hold off on that until 2021 because the COVID's going to kill everybody. And again, I know we're just kind of joking around. Stephen Allen joining us. What's up, buddy? We need to get you out here and get you on this thing. But no, I mean, this whole thing has been, and I think that the growing sentiment is, like, I saw a guy on the Rick and Bubba show, which you take them for what they are, take them, love them, hate them, whatever. But they had a guy on that basically said, starting to fight against or stand up to these, protests, the stay-at-home orders would now qualify you as a patriot. And it's like, man, are we really getting to the point where the talking heads are now so this is exactly what people want. In case you're curious, this is what the politicians inherently want division, okay? Mm-hmm. We're in a two-party system. It's a broken system, but it's the system we've got, okay? And so on both sides of the aisle, you've got greed, power, and money at the very top of the list. The constituents fall all the way to the bottom every single time. It's not about us. It never has been, never will be. It's about greed, power, money, okay? So that being said, both sides of the aisle, if for a moment Americans ever could see through the crap and could say just for a moment, man, as a Democrat or a Republican or the opposition, really what you want is not that diabolically oppositional.
No.
And I'm a deal maker. I've got things that I'm going to stand on as a principle that I will not negotiate. And I have things that I'm going to say, you know what, if you want that, then I'll give you this. Mm-hmm. And If we could do that for a moment, we would scare the heck out of politicians all over the place, because all of a sudden America could become united behind a real change-making idea, and that's never going to happen. Connor just texted me. I'm trying to get my phone to open to see what we've done wrong here, or something must be going wrong. But no, I mean, politicians are inherently. Oh, thank you, Connor. He said I didn't look as good because I had my mic up over my face, and he wanted my pretty face to be visible to the audience, which I'm not mad at him for. That's why he's our producer. But no, if we ever could unite behind something.
Well, it's just like I say, what everybody wants, both sides want freedom. They want security. They want those things. It's just different avenues to get in there. They will not give in. If a Republican comes up with a great idea, by gosh, we're not going to go with a Democrat. If a Democrat comes up with a great idea, we're not going to go with it because we're Republicans.
Well, the hatred for Trump has become so vehement that it's terrifying. Like it's no longer about what's good for the country. It's no longer about it's about what's bad for Trump.
Well, when I saw Geraldo Rivera, which is he's a both side kind of guy, and he just came on there and just like, it is unbelievable.
Well, I mean, Mark Cuban came out and said Mark Cuban hates Donald Trump, makes no bones about it, does not like him, can't stand him, will give his money to anybody but him. And he came out last week and said Trump has killed the way he's handled this thing. He has done as good of a job as anybody could ever do. And it's just like, again, it goes back. I mean, they just approved $400 billion more in stimulus money. That came with how many pet projects? We call that looting, folks. They're looting you, the American taxpayer, for pet projects, okay? If you call me and say, Zach, I'd like for you to do a remodel, and I'm the only remodeler on the face of the planet. You can't get a remodel anywhere else. And I said, you know what? I will absolutely remodel your house if you'll give me your beloved dog, Judy, that's been in your family for 27 years. But if you do that, then I'll absolutely remodel. You're going to do it because you have no other option. But it didn't make it fair. It didn't make it right. It's called looting. Pirates did it. Thieves do it. People do it all the time. In Hurricane Katrina, they arrested and jailed people for doing it, but our politicians do it free and clear, and it's no problem. Why? Well, it's in the pursuit of a bailout. It's in the pursuit of giving you, by the way, your tax money back. In case you missed that, giving you your money back without paying interest on it. I call that robbery, personally. But no, I mean, this whole thing is becoming, and again, we're not sitting here saying that we should have acted any differently. Oh, yeah. I mean, we didn't know. No, we had no idea.
Nobody knew.
This could have been the Black Plague for all we knew. And for all intents and purposes, in a lot of places it was. But there was a study that just came out in New York. Have you seen that? Ooh.
About
the antibody testing?
Yeah, how many people were?
Ooh, people don't want to hear that. Has anybody heard that?
It's like 21.
It's 14% of the population, which puts it up in the hundreds of thousands. I'm trying to find the exact number so that I don't pull a Zach and just word vomit all over people. Let's see. Models Jasmine China 20,000.
It's very high.
It's literally like 14.7% or 13.7%, which would mean the death what am I trying to say? What's the big hot button number that everybody's
mortality
been
rate.
Bingo. The mortality rate is less than 1.
Yes.
So you mean less than the flu? You mean more people died this year of influenza than COVID-19 when it's all said and done?
Well, I think
that can't happen.
Yeah, I think
we can't let that happen.
I think what they're saying is that it was maybe a little bit more than the flu. I think this year is what they were saying. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe I think that's what I read, but I'm not.
Well, and we'll have to wait until we get.
So it's all said and done. I mean, it's still
1 in
going
5
on.
people tested in New York City had antibodies for the coronavirus. What?
That's a lot. Was it 18 million in New York? Something like that?
It's unbelievable, dude. And so 2.7, let's see. Those early results translate to the rest of New York population. That would mean 2.7 million people across the state would have been infected. So 2.7 million. Now let's run the mortality rate with those numbers, because changing the denominator, for those of you that aren't good at math, if I had a whiteboard, I'd show you. Thad's a teacher. Maybe he can help us with this.
Teacher.
No, but you could do this one, okay? When you divide a percentage, you've got, in this case, you've got deaths on top, and then you've got infections underneath it. So if you have 10 deaths, say, and there's 100 infections, then 10% of people that were infected died. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about changing the 10. We're talking about changing the 100, and we're going to change it to 2.7 million. That drastically.
Oh, that changed.
I mean, that skews it so far to, I mean, and again, and don't hear me saying like, well, we should have done it differently. Now, I think we will be hesitant to ever shut down an economy like we've shut it down ever again. I think that we allowed fear to reign supreme.
Well, it was fear because nobody knew. Nobody had the idea what is this thing? How did it come here? What's happening? Things like that.
No, there's some doctors that there was a female doctor in Montana, mm-hmm. and I'm talking about, she pulled not the whistle, she pulled the kazoo out and went and started laying it about how the CDC guidelines have changed for mortality. Mm-hmm. If you die of a congestive heart failure and you have the antibodies, I'm not a doctor. I can't say this as a fact. I've not talked to anybody from the CDC who has told me this, but I have heard 3 or 4 different doctors say, we got instructions from the CDC to put on a death certificate COVID-19 if antibodies were present, not if they died from COVID-19. And again, don't hear me sitting here being that guy, that obnoxious dude that's just trumpeting, go back to work, economy over lives. I have never at any point in time tried to push anybody back prior to the first of the next month. I said, let's stay the course. Could we have done it differently? Absolutely. Will we next time? Lord, I hope so.
Probably will.
I would. Then again, politicians don't have a great track record of actually learning anything. But no, I mean, we canceled every sport. We canceled everything. Could we have played sports without a crowd? Were there things that we could have done had we taken our deep breath and went into this? And I think the problem was we came out and we just killed everything. We cut the head off of everything. We didn't just say, whoa, you're sick. We took it out back and shot it. You can't bring that back. How are you going to bring season back? You've already sent all the referees home, all the umpires home, all the kids home. They're out of shape. They've been quarantining every day. Mm-hmm. How many high school athletes you think been waking up 6 o'clock getting their run in every morning?
None.
I mean, let's hold on. Connor's going to join us now. Connor, are you there, buddy?
Connor's.
Yes, I'm here.
Talk me through. I know you're not an athlete per se, but talk me through the old sleep schedule you found yourself falling into here under the old quarantine.
It's not good. It's I've pretty much been going to bed usually sometime
when I'm
between
waking up.
1 and 3. No, not that
goodness.
late. 1 and 3 in the morning.
Oh no,
and,
Coach! Don't let him
usually...
lie to you. Don't let him lie to you. The other day, it was a Saturday. I was trying to. We had some videos we were trying to get done, and it was 11:45 before I ever heard back from him. And my man was just, look, and I'm not mad at him. If I was a high school student, what do you think? What do you think Thad Prater 18 would have done? He'd have stayed up and played whatever. I don't know. You'd play Atari back then. Probably not even Atari, but
Space Invaders.
There it is, Space Invaders. Yeah, see,
Pong,
exactly. So I mean, I'm not saying that's. And thank you, Connor, for your input. I appreciate your honesty on that. But no, I mean, I'm not saying it's all bad.
No, I sent out this week to a softball team. We did a Zoom, and I sent out basically a workout schedule, throwing. But I mean, it's hard to throw, but you don't have anybody to throw to, in your neighborhood or whatever. I mean,
what are you going to do there?
Some of them have brothers and sisters, whatever, to throw to or whatever. I had a catcher. She had her brother out there throwing balls in the dirt, and she was blocking, things like that. I mean, you can do those things,
sure,
but that's still not.
What motivation do you have, though? I mean, it takes a lot of discipline, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of discipline at that point. You don't know if summer ball is going to happen. You don't know if any of the tournaments are going to. You don't know anything about anything right now, and that's our problem. And I want to address that because that's what I really, really struggle with like when I was in the military, I was the best me I've ever been because I was able to take a clear set, a defined set of objectives. And this, I learned more about myself in this period of my life than any other because I was really good at knocking things out if I knew exactly what was required of me. And if they said, okay, these are your objectives for the day, for the week, for the month, for the mission, then you're done. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, hot dang, if I get that done, I get to go home or I get to go back or I get to go do what I want to do. And I was an absolute monster. And so part of, I think, our response and the problem that we've had in this response is we've given no clear, definitive hope. People need hope. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're going on week whatever, 5, 4, 5, 6 in some places of home quarantine, and we have no hope. We don't have any idea when we're coming out of this. Kay Ivey needs to step up and give us an idea of what she's looking at. Not just we'll see it through.
Yeah, several girls that I talked to, man, I asked them, I said, hey, have you gotten to go hit or anything? I mean, all the gyms are shut down. They can't go anywhere. And
unless they had the equipment, they can't go to Hibbett's and get it.
Right.
That's non-essential.
Yeah. So, it's just
unless Lowe's has it back here with the mulch, they're in trouble. Lord
they've
knows
been
you can buy
working,
some mulch.
It's just, like you said, they got a summer figured out. What am I going to get to this tournament? We've already put our money to spend the night places, things like that.
Well, and let's talk about that too. And Brandon Hargrove has a comment here. He said, "Did Prater play an Atari or an Odyssey?" Atari it was. So I nailed it, by the way. Everybody says I'm an old soul. No, let's talk about this. I just heard about this today. So there are, all across the country, there are concerts that have not happened. There are basically anything that requires anybody to meet. Okay, typically you have some high net worth, high paid individuals that are participating in those games, concerts, events, speakers, whatever. Yeah. Those people are typically going to expect to be paid if the event is canceled on somebody else's behalf. An act of God, in some cases, which is what this has been deemed, is not covered by a lot of insurance policies. Right. And so now you have, like I read one article where a girl had paid $3,000 for tickets to this big concert, and Ticketmaster was not giving her money back. Mm-hmm. I heard, and this is what I'm trying to look up, there is a lawsuit in Major League Baseball for the ticket refunds.
Yes.
And so I am curious. I am a season ticket holder at the old Rocket City Trash Pandas.
I think they
Section 10, row 1, seat 1.
They talked about doing a refund, didn't they?
Well, I've not heard anything, and I would think I would have gotten an email.
Yeah, you would have gotten an email.
Well, that's okay because I haven't. The way the payments were set out.
They're going to roll over to the next year.
Well, they better or something because look, these seats were not cheap, and this was an investment that my wife and I decided to make, and our company decided to make in having a place for. My son loves baseball. We take clients, take friends, like. That's a lot of money. And last week or week before last was opening day, and all this hullabaloo builds up to it. Now, I'm the biggest fan in the world of minor league baseball, minor league sports. In fact, Zach Curtis, who pitched at Murfreesboro and then went to the big leagues and made his way through a couple of teams, is going to come join us hopefully next week, maybe the week after, and talk through a little bit of that as an athlete, kind of what that looks like. But like, how I as a business person, I can't help but also seeing the other side of it. If I am Major League Baseball and I've taken in this money on revenue and I had absolutely nothing to do with it getting canceled, I needed that money. I needed that money to do whatever, fill in the blank.
I don't know what's in these guys' contracts. They got to be – are they going to get paid? Are they not getting paid? I don't know what they're doing.
I would love to – I guess it doesn't matter. They got so much freaking money. It does to the normal baseball player. Right. Because the league minimum in the major leagues is right above 400 now. Mm-hmm. But what most people don't understand, and we'll talk to Zach about this when he comes in, most people don't understand this, and we talked with Chuck about it some when he was here, Coach Smith with Athens baseball. He played through the minor leagues, and unless you're that top slotted pick, you're on beans and potatoes trying to make it through. I've heard of guys from the Dominican signing for a bushel of fruit, literally, because that will feed their family for a period of time. So it's not just effective. The top 10% of professional sports that's making multi-millions a year, although I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I bet a lot more of them are struggling than they let on. because most of them live well outside their means, knowing that they've got a game check coming in next week for fill in the blank, a bunch of million, especially the football guys. You know, I don't know if people understand how that works. You get 16 checks a year.
Yeah.
You get paid on game day.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a $12 million, well, let's make it easy, $16 million contract, 16 games, and you don't make the playoffs, just to not complicate things, you're going to get 16 checks for $1 million. And then the state you live in is going to take their tax. The federal government's going to take their tax. The state you played the game in, they're going to get their tax. And when you're left, you're going to be left with 40-ish, 45-ish%. Phil Mickelson said 35, 40. Let's call it 45. So you're getting $450,000 a week for 16 weeks, and then you're done. So you ended up with like a little under $8 million for the year, okay? And then for the other, 52 minus 16, 30-plus weeks, 40 weeks, 38 weeks, you're not going to get a paycheck. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these rookies that sign their first year and get a bunch of guaranteed money and, man, they've got cars and yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what? You can't sell them cars. Who's going to buy them? You can't. What are you going to do? And so this is not just affecting, like, yes, it's affecting. Don't get me wrong. I don't have a tremendous amount of sympathy for these multimillionaires that didn't manage their money well. My sympathy goes out to the small guy, the little guy, right? Yeah. But I don't know. My wife says hello. She missed it at the beginning, apparently. Ashley, Brandon, what are you talking about? Brandon just said, Ashley Walker, have you noticed that Zach has a hard time saying his own name? I don't even understand what he's saying. But by the way, babe, in case you missed it, I'm going to just take a moment. Pause. I told you happy birthday at the beginning. You were late. You missed it. So I'll say it again, but I love you very much. Happy birthday. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm kidding. I'll be home later. But no, I mean, it's just, I don't know, Thad. This whole thing is, I've said it from the beginning and I'll say it again. And then it's, we've run a long race this afternoon. We're going to let it go here pretty soon. But I said it at the beginning, it's ground zero.
There's no basis, yeah.
2001, I was a freshman in high school. I was in Miss Brooks' science class, and the Twin Towers got hit. I was 40 minutes from the Pentagon, 35 minutes from the Pentagon. I hope to have Teresa Roth on. Her husband Bob was one of the first responders to the Pentagon. He ended up passing away of a cancer he contracted from the chemicals that he was in. But it was very real to us. I mean, it was 30 minutes. My dad was supposed to be there that day, but he ended up at the Naval Yard instead, and they didn't get hit. Yeah. We had people in our church that, in fact, Bob, while he was there, he reached down and picked up a badge, and it was Larry Hinckley's badge. Larry Hinckley went to church with all of us. Larry Hinckley's office was where the nose of the plane entered the Pentagon. But Larry Hinckley had forgotten his badge in his office. And so when he came back to go through security, he couldn't get through, and he had gone back to HR to get a new badge, and that's what saved his life. And so it was very real to us, but I'll never forget the ground zero effect. You remember Sammy Sosa? He hit that home run, and he grabbed the flag at first base, and he runs the whole – and, dude, it gives me chill bump. It makes me cry almost. Like, it was very real for me. It was tangible. It was the first thing I'd ever experienced. And I know for a lot of guys, it was when the president was shot. Where were you when the president was shot? Or where? This is that for this generation.
True.
And so with all that being said, like, we have to treat this with the desire to learn and become, like, what changed after 9/11? Flying's never been the same.
Yeah.
It has never been the same. Why? Because we learned you could get on a freaking plane with a bomb. Or whatever, or
the plane becomes a weapon.
Bingo. Because we had no way of making sure that you didn't have a whatever, fill in the blank weapon to take over a cockpit. Mm-hmm. After this, what are we going to learn? What are we going to learn? And that's the question that I hope our politicians are asking. I know it's the question Christians all over the world are asking. And if you're a Christian that's not asking that question, you're wrong. The question is, God, what have you put in this for us to learn? Mm-hmm. What are we supposed to learn as a country? What are we supposed to learn as Christians? What are we supposed to learn as people? What are we supposed to learn in general? Because if we walk away from this and we learn nothing, then we will have literally wasted not only the lives that have come and gone because of this virus, but the economic downturn, the businesses, the suicides that have happened since. I mean, I don't know if you've read about any of that. The suicide rate is through the roof because you know what people put their stock in? What they do for a living. Their identity comes from how much money they make. Their identity comes from a business they created in their little small town where they have a little bit of say-so, a little bit of power, and a whole lot of pride.
And I want to say something to that. A lot of times when you work for somebody, and I've worked in the private sector also, it's like, the boss man don't care about you, the boss. But these people actually care about their workers. they start to realize, hey, they make their money off of what you do and how well you perform. And then all of a sudden, you know, here you are, you're suffering, and they feel sometimes it's like their fault, and you know, things like that. I think it's a reality.
I don't think people will ever understand that. And this is something that it's even tough to talk about, because like literally for the last 4 weeks, like all that has mattered is like, how do I make sure my people get paid? And I've gone without a check, and I like you name it, we'll do it. I'll sell. There's nothing I won't sell to make sure that my people are taken care of. And the frustrating part about that is two things. Oftentimes those people don't get that. And so I'm glad you brought that up. But the people that work for us or for any small business, they don't get it. They do have that mentality of it's greed, it's whatever. I don't know how many small business owners you know, Thad, but I can tell you we've not turned a profit in a long. I mean, we are a new business. We're under a year in existence. We're cash flow neutral, like great. But like, there's not it's not like we're printing money over here. And so yes, the people are all that's all we have. You think if I ran around destroying my reputation and just stomping all over people, that I would have a business in this little town? No, look, you've known me for 6 years now, and it's been a struggle. I mean, you've seen me in 18 different places in 6 years, and this is probably the longest I've ever been in one place. Because we feel like God gave us this platform, gave us this opportunity. Cotton Row exists because He allows it to do so, and so yeah, I mean. Yes, like your employer probably cares more about you than you'll ever know.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I mean, unless you work for one of the big companies that we talked about yesterday that got all those millions of dollars from the payroll protection program when they had endowments of 40 and 50 billion billion dollars. But us small business, I mean, the majority, 48% of the workforce in America works for guys like me. That do we care? And so at the end of this, all I want to see is learning. I want to see protection. I want to see preventative saving. I want to see, like Dave Ramsey was on Rick and Bubba. I've tried all day to get to that interview so I could talk about it today on the air, and then the day got away from me. But he's been preaching this for how long?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hey, 6 months of savings, financial peace.
Yep.
And then here we are. And dude, he lost his mind over the bailout. He's like, oh, it's bubkiss. Like, and I get all that, but like, everybody has to take away from this something. AHSAA, the governor, the Senate, the Congress, at the state level, at the federal level, every single person. I don't care who you are. My son's 4. He's not going to remember this. You get a little older than that, from there on up.
Oh yeah, you'll remember.
You should walk away from this saying, I need to do blank better, because this will happen again. Maybe not in our lifetimes. I hope for all hopes that it never happens again in our lifetime. But if it does, I hope to be better prepared. And that doesn't mean guns and ammo, unfortunately, which is what I thought it meant when this whole thing. I told people at the beginning of this, I said everybody else bought food and I bought ammo. But no, I mean, this has definitely been challenging. This has been something that we'll never forget. I know that. It's going to be fun watching us come out of this. Hey, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about over the next 6 months, because there's going to be lots of interesting decisions that get made, I say. But no, the coach said he'll be back next week, so be excited to join Coach Thad and I one day next week. We'll be back. In the meantime, have a great weekend, guys. Coach, thanks for joining me again. I love you guys. It's been fun. This is day 27. I never thought in a million years I would actually commit to this and do it for 40 minutes a day every day for 27 days, yet here I am. So, guys, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. We'll see you guys next week. Connor, take it away. Love you guys.
See ya.